Hello friends, welcome to my channel. And if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Jasmine. And to you, my amazing, my beautiful and returning subscribers, thank you for what you do for me. Welcome also to the channel. And today I'm actually checking out 6 reasons why I like Polish people more than the Americans. Okay, no beef here, no beef here. Please do not, Americans, if you're watching it, do not be offended, okay? Okay? And I love Poland a lot. Yes, I love Poland. And when you have to do with Poland and Polish people, I'm into it. So please forgive me. Okay? So let's check this out.
Today I'm going to give you guys 6 reasons why I like Polish people more than Americans. To my Polish viewers, get excited. And to my American viewers, buckle up. Number 1, hospitality and friendliness. Polish people are known for their hospitality and warm-hearted culture. They often go out of their way to make guests feel welcome. When a Polish person welcomes you to his or her home or life, the relationship is likely to be genuine and lasting. Poles tend to be very straightforward and honest in their relationships. And while they may not be overly friendly with strangers, their warmth is real and meaningful when it does emerge. When Polish people like you, they will treat you with respect and compliments. But when they don't like you, they will brush you off and tell you to go away. And they're very direct about it with zero shame. When I first came to Poland 3 years ago, I did not know my ways around country very well. And I had lots of strangers come up to me and help me. For example, when I went to the supermarket for the first time, I didn't know you needed a coin to grab a cart. I literally just asked a random person behind me for a coin. And then he smiled and he was more than willing to give me the coin for the cart. Another instance is when I went to the local butcher for some steaks. And I asked him where I could buy some kosher salt because I couldn't find anywhere nearby. And the guy literally went to the back and grabbed a quality box of kosher salt and handed it to me and told me it was on the house. You know, just little kind gestures like this made me feel really welcome and gave me a great first impression of Polish people. This really is a stark contrast with my experiences with Americans. American friendliness is often characterized by casual, open demeanor that can feel warm and inviting on the surface, but it's not so. We tend to engage in small talk easily and show interest in others through upbeat, positive conversation. However, a lot of this friendliness and small talk can be perceived as superficial or insincere, especially in professional and social settings. It's more of a cultural norm and expectation rather than a genuine desire to get to know the other person. Usually you can't tell Americans like you or not because they tend to avoid direct confrontation and act passive aggressively, meaning even if they don't like you, they will act friendly and smile. But when you're not around, they'll be talking trash behind your back. Also, oftentimes instead of confronting you about a problem, they will rather either make excuses to ignore you or avoid communication altogether. Or worse, they would make sarcastic comments or give subtle hints to express their discontent without open, direct confrontation. I am a fairly direct person, and this is exactly why I prefer Polish people over Americans on this matter. I like the bluntness and the honesty of Polish people. If somebody likes me, great. If somebody doesn't like me, that's okay. Tell it to my face and we'll never speak again. It just makes me trust them more over Americans, who I feel sometimes are just simply too superficial. And friendships often with other Americans are simply shallow, unless you grew up with them. Moving on to number 2, humbleness. Polish people are known for their humility and modesty, traits deeply rooted in their history and culture. Humbleness in Poland often manifests as quiet strength, where achievements are downplayed and individuals avoiding boasting themselves or drawing attention. They always seem to approach interactions with respect, modesty, and consideration. For example, Poland is probably the safest country in Europe, and that is a fact. You can look up the crime statistics. But whenever I talk to a Polish person about how safe the country it is, they will always downplay it. They will usually say something like, oh, it's not very safe, there are too many drunk people, people try to steal things from you. To me, that just sounds cute because in my mind, I have a completely different standard for what is considered safe and not safe. Coming from America, I'm so used to gang violence, mass shooting, brutal murders, and casual robberies. So upon hearing this from Polish people, it just sounds so cute. Things like like safety, cleanness, and education, Poland always rank at the top, in Europe at least. But you will never hear normal Polish people bragging about these things because it's quiet strength. They know this already, and they show it with actions and numbers instead of loud words. Also, Polish women are very beautiful, but you'll never hear from the women themselves. Instead, you'll hear this from travelers, expats, and people from other countries. And when you interact with Polish women, they're almost always polite, friendly, and non-entitled. Even though some of them can be intimidatingly beautiful. Now, this is totally different in America. Americans are loud and sometimes can be perceived as self-promotional and arrogant, especially when success and personal achievements are celebrated. Because America is all about freedom, individualism, and personal success. Americans usually think America is the best country in the world. When they say they're well-traveled, it usually means around the States, maybe Canada, Mexico, and maybe a few countries in Western Europe. And that's about it. They tend to overstate their personal values and achievements rather than downplaying them. Because again, it stems from the individualism and self-promotional culture. Even if they don't know something, they will act like they know a lot about it in order to maintain this image of superiority, especially when interacting with non-Americans. It's really about this drive to seek validation from others, especially in public, in order to receive more attention and recognition. And that's why you see a lot of Americans doing totally random, weird acts in totally random places just for social media and views. American women are especially guilty of this. Even though 2/3 of the American women are overweight and 1/3 are obese, they will always think and tell other people that they're healthy and beautiful. There's a popular term in California to describe women who are like this. They call it the 49ers, meaning they're fours, but they think they're nines and they deserve the world. The feminist culture has really driven American women to way overvalue themselves and become very, very entitled. And that's why dating in the US is terrible for men. And as a result, a lot of men are going overseas to date and to settle down, like me. Personally, I come from an Asian background, so I do prefer to be more humble, quiet, and show who I am through actions. And that's part of the reason why I moved to Poland, because I find Polish people are a lot similar to me in that regard. And Polish women are a lot more compatible with my values and goals than American women. Number 3 is work-life balance. Polish people value a balanced approach to work and personal life. While Poland is very known for its hard-working culture, especially in industries like IT, manufacturing, and education, there's a growing emphasis on maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Standard work hours in Poland are typically from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, similar to the US. But the key difference here is that many companies in Poland, they offer flexible working hours or the options to work remotely. Another major difference is the vacation policy. Polish workers are entitled to almost a month of paid leave per year. Public holidays, of which there are around 13 each year, also provide additional time off for relaxation. This emphasis on vacation ensures that the Polish workers have regular opportunities to disconnect from work and to recover. Lastly, Polish people tend to have this collective mindset in the workplace, where collaboration and support among colleagues are highly valued. This can reduce the stress and competition that often accompany work environments in more individualistic cultures such as the US. There's a general understanding that work is important, but it's not the sole focus of life. In contrast, the work-life balance in the US tend to be a lot more challenging, particularly due to high-pressure, productivity-driven culture that prevails in many of the industries in the US. Americans are often encouraged to prioritize work over personal life. Long hours, high competition, and fewer vacation days are the common aspects of the American work environment. Many people in the US tie their entire identity and self-worth to their career. As a result, many Americans tend to work much longer hours, often sacrificing family time and personal time in the process. Even though the working hours are similar between Poles and Americans, it's common for American employees to work beyond the standard 40-hour week, especially in sectors like finance, law, medicine, and tech. It's really that hustle culture that encourages people to go above and beyond, often resulting in burnout burnouts. And this is exactly why so many Americans are depressed and stressed out all the time. On top of that, American workers receive a lot less paid vacation leave than their Polish counterparts. Most employees in the US, they are entitled to maybe 10 days or 2 weeks of paid vacation per year. Also, of course, much fewer public holidays than in Poland. A lot of American workers are expected to work during holidays, particularly in industries like retail, healthcare. Before I started my own business, I worked in corporate for 2 years, and I felt like a drone for the reasons I listed above. Although I don't have any working experience here in Poland, since I work for myself now, being in an environment where the people are generally happier, with less stress and mental problems, also makes me happier and gives me more positive energy. If you guys find this video interesting and insightful, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. The next 3 reasons might get a little bit controversial. Number 4 is education. Polish people, especially the younger generation, are well educated and have a strong emphasis on academic achievements. Polish people tend to be more globally aware, especially when it comes to history, geography, languages, and international affairs. The majority of the Polish people speak at least one foreign language, with English being the most common, followed by German, French, and increasingly Spanish. Asian languages, Korean, Japanese, and Chinese are also growing in popularity among the younger generation, especially women, which I find a little bit surprising. Polish people are also very aware of geography. They can definitely point out where every single European country is on the continent, as well as the major countries in the rest of the world. When you talk to Polish people about international affairs, they usually remain neutral, and I find it very shocking how much Polish people know about the affairs in the US and in Asia. They would almost never speak poorly of certain countries and would always think from those countries' perspective. International relations, good or bad, they will usually frame it as a country's struggle for its own survival and prosperity. There are no heroes and villains. But Americans are a lot different in this regard. Education in the US is highly privatized and national-centric, meaning there's a high emphasis on education about its own country and not enough about the rest of the world. Americans are also less focused on academic achievements and strive more for personal development outside of academics, which I do think is a plus. Finally, Americans tend to be a lot less globally aware and view the world from a purely Western perspective. This is mainly due to history and geography. Since the US has been so dominant as a country for the last 100 years, culturally, militarily, and economically, and its geography very isolated, it's understandable why Americans are educated in this way. Even though Americans learn Spanish at a very young age, most of them do not actively practice. Besides a tiny bit of Spanish, the vast majority of Americans do not speak any other foreign languages. And Americans are notoriously famous for not knowing geography.
I'll give you $1 if you can name any continent.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you've seen videos on either Instagram or TikTok where the street interviewers talk to Americans and they have very little clue about where the countries are in the world, or simply just naming major countries in certain continents. The same applies to history. Americans know very little about history of other continents or countries simply because they never needed to. I come from an international background and I also traveled all over the world, but I am still very American. I believe that being book smart is important, but being street smart is even more important. However, as the world evolves more and more, I think it's critical to develop a more worldly perspective. And that's why I prefer living in Poland and talk to Polish people, because it really broadens my perspective on international matters. Having a national-centric education is where the US is failing. When a nation is powerful and its people uneducated about the rest of the world, it leads to bad international relations, or worse, war. Number 5, family. Polish people see family as the cornerstone of society and personal life. Family bonds in Poland are generally stronger and are more central to everyday life compared to many other cultures, including the US. In Poland, multi-generational households are more common, and family members often maintain a very strong bond well into adulthood. It's quite common for Polish families to live close to or to live with extended family members, including grandparents, aunt, uncles, and cousins. Grandparents in particular play a very important role in raising grandkids and providing support for the younger generation. There's a strong cultural emphasis on respecting the elders in Polish families. Grandparents and older family members are highly respected. Family gatherings are a key part of Polish culture, especially around holidays and important life events. Celebrations such as Christmas, Easter, and Name Day are deeply family-oriented, often involve large gatherings of multiple generations. During these occasions, spending time with family is prioritized over work. And this is also why Polish women are so good for long-term relationships. The majority of Polish women grew up in a full nuclear family where the mother and the father are still together. In the US, the concept of family can be more individualistic and focused on the nuclear family only and not the entire family network. While Americans certainly value family, the culture tends to emphasize on personal reliance and success. This can result in a more dispersed family structure where family members live very far from each other and not relying each other for daily support and communication. Most Americans certainly do not live with or live even close to their extended family. Even in the immediate family, once the children turn 18, they're expected to move out and become independent, which can lead long-time separation from the parents and emotional distancing. Since American culture places such a high value on individualism, people tend to prioritize career goals and education over family ties. Lastly, this is very important. A significant number of children in America are growing up without a complete nuclear family, with single mother households being the most common, especially among certain minority groups. And it's getting worse. This is a huge problem I don't think many Americans understand. Unstable and incomplete families lead to troubled kids. The males are more likely to become more violent and commit crimes, and females are more likely to be more promiscuous and reliant on the government. It only leads to more domestic problems and more chaos. Even though Poland is an European country, I find a lot of its values similar to my Asian background. I grew up in America, but I was very fortunate to be raised by both parents, mom and dad. I learned that individualism and personal achievement is great, but family is even greater. And that's why I prefer living and dating in Poland, because the women here are raised right with strong family values. And I want to have my own family someday. And I wish my kids are raised in this same strong family environment. Lastly, number 6. This is a big one. Patriotism and immigration. Polish patriotism is deeply rooted in the country's long turbulent history, marked by occupations, partitions, and struggles for independence. As a result, many Poles have a strong sense of national identity. Polish patriotism tends to focus more on preserving cultural traditions, honoring historical events, and maintaining sovereignty. Polish people take great pride in their language, traditions, and their religious customs. There's a strong desire among the Polish people to protect the Polish/European way of life, particularly against external influences that might dilute national values or culture. Again, Polish patriotism is about unity and sovereignty, and that's why national holidays like Independence Day and Constitution Day is widely celebrated in Poland. Bottom line, do not mess with Polish people. They absolutely hate it when foreigners come to the country and tell them how to live their lives. To the Polish people, when you come to Poland, you respect the people, you respect the culture, and you respect the laws. You as a foreigner is supposed to assimilate into Polish society and not segregate within Polish society. And that's why Polish people strongly oppose illegal immigration immigration and cultural diversity, because in their minds, Poland is for Poles and for people who want to integrate into the Polish society. America, on the other hand, has been heading in the total opposite direction, especially in the past 2 decades. Patriotism is often looked down upon, and nationalism is taboo. National identity is weaker and weaker. People no longer feel proud to be Americans anymore, and unity is at an all-time low. America nowadays is about promoting and accepting diversity and other cultures instead of preserving its own. Things like freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, are facing increasing censorship and restrictions. National holidays are more about relaxing and partying instead of celebrating and commemorating a significant historical event. On July 4th weekend, for example, people are more interested in barbecuing and drinking beer rather than celebrating the birth of a nation and remembering the works of our founding fathers. It's simply just too casual and non-unifying. Now, I don't want to get into politics too much, but America has been flooded with illegal immigration for the past 2 decades. And oftentimes, these illegal immigrants have more rights and protection than American citizens themselves. There's a common saying that America is a big melting pot. In my opinion, I do think it's a big pot, but I don't think all these mixtures are melting as expected. I am a legal immigrant to both the US and now Poland, and I love both countries. But I do lean way more towards the Polish people's view on patriotism and immigration. I think it's absolutely vital for a nation to be united and to be active in preserving its own language, its own culture, and history. Otherwise, you won't have a nation anymore. And I'm afraid that's slowly happening to America. Immigration is good to a certain extent to introduce new ideas and development into the country. And it should always be legal. However, it should never dilute the nation's identity and undermine its security, culture, language, and ways of life. All right, guys, now you have an idea of why I love Polish people. Tell me, what do you think? Is there anything else that I must know about Polish people? The good and the bad. Also, what do you guys think about Americans? Leave all the comments down below. This is Angster, and I'll see you on the next one.
No, thank you so much. You see why I always love the Polish people? They're amazing. They are just amazing. I've always got good reviews on Polish people. I've not got anything about Polish. That's why I am definitely going to visit Poland. Definitely, because I've beautiful reviews about them. You know, all he just said. I think I like Polish people more than Americans. Yes, I do. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again. Bye.